So these people are mad, man. You take away their government money, their universal lefty income for themselves at our expense. They go nuts.
Do you want the executive making the only decisions in this country, or do you want the elected representatives that you sent to Washington making those policies?
The DOJ and the people that he's going after were simply doing their jobs.
No, they weren't.
The problem is that Americans thought that it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him the president of the United States.
Hunt them down is what many psychopath lefties are screaming about the people now working in the Trump administration with Elon Musk to reform the federal government and to purge the corruption and the waste. Hunt them down is what they're screaming on their leftist social media sites called Blue Sky and other sites, saying that they should go after these folks. Here's just a handful of the posts that you've seen here from Andy NGO, shouting out their names, saying these people, right? They're basically doxing them, right? Giving their names out and saying go after them. And this person, right? Hunt them down. Go after these people who are all working there. And Elon also called attention to this. Reddit Lies on X says, white people Twitter is now calling for the public elimination of the DOGE software developers. So these people are mad, man. You take away their government money, their universal lefty income for themselves at our expense. They go nuts. White people Twitter, Musk's dogs, henchmen, drag them out. Lots of bad stuff happening in these posts. We don't need to read them here because we're not monstrous people like they are, but they're condemning them in violent rhetoric and they want bad things to happen to them. So Elon said, you know what? They have broken the law. They're not allowed to do this. And Ed Martin, the acting United States Attorney General, has responded to this next. If you think that you're going to threaten official Trump administration team members, you're in for another world. Ed Martin says, Dear Elon, please see this important letter. We will not tolerate threats against DOGE workers or law breaking by the disgruntled. All the best, your friend, Ed Martin. I added the your friend part in there because it sounds friendly. But here is what he said on February 3rd. Mr. Musk, DOGE, United States government, sent via X officially. It says, Dear Elon, it was good to work with the DOGE team this weekend. We must keep all our American government employees safe, and we must protect the American people's property. Anyone imperiling others violating our laws. Now, I recognize that some of the stuff and staff at DOGE has been targeted publicly by mental cases. At this time, I ask that you utilize me and my staff to assist in protecting the DOGE work and the DOGE workers. Any threats, confrontations, or other actions in any way that impacts their work may break numerous laws. And let me assure you of this, Elon. We will pursue any and all legal action against anyone who impedes your work or threatens your people. We will not act like the previous administration who looked the other way as Antifa and BLM rioters, as well as thugs with guns, trashed our capital city. We will protect DOGE and other workers no matter what. One last warning for you. Late last week, we indicted an economist who worked at the Fed for economic espionage for the communist Chinese, Elon. Please be very aware that there are those who are acting against our American people in every way. Even people who look like they are loyal American employees working at the Fed are secret spies for the Chinese. Refer to us any questionable conduct or details that you find or notice in case the CCP has been embedded with you in DOGE. Please keep in touch. All the best. Sincerely, your friend, Edward R. Martin Jr., U.S. Attorney. Amazing. So now Elon has the support of the DOJ to protect his people. And here was more of the Democrats lashing out, right? Very upset. And I think all these people, Ilhan and the others, I think want, this is going to be a political future for them. So they have to die on this one.
Do you want the executive making the only decisions in this country, or do you want the elected representatives that you sent to Washington making those policies?
We just did. Literally, we just had an election like not that long ago, and we just took office. So we're making those changes. Literally, there's an election that just happened and we're doing that. What you said.
I am exceptionally upset about U.S. aid. I lived in a refugee camp for 4 years as a child surviving civil war. It is the essential programs that U.S. aid provided that kept my family and I fed and safe. It is the resources that so many people around the world rely on.
We're more interested in America and our people who need those resources. Thank you, Ilhan. All right, so here is Senator Chris Murphy has been really aggressive against Trump. I think he's trying to anchor himself in this anti-Trump position because he wants to run for president.
So we will use every power that we have in our disposal in the United States Senate. My colleagues will do the same thing in the House. This is a constitutional crisis that we are in today. Let's call it what it is. The people get to decide how we defend the United States of America. The people get to decide how
They just did. We just had an election.
their taxpayer money is spent. Elon Musk does not get to decide.
He's working with the president's administration. Everybody knew that was going to happen. It was part of the election. No one's doing a bait and switch. So you can see how upset they are. Why is that? All their money's going away. Hakeem Jeffries came out and he came out with this strategy, this plan. He actually wrote bullet points this time. Usually he just comes out and does his Timu Obama thing. He's just like, we're going to work hard and then harder and then we'll work some more. Okay, what are you talking about? Here are his many points. First, I've made clear any efforts to steal taxpayer money or end Medicare or any of those things are going to be choked off in a funding bill. We're not stealing anything. We're returning the taxpayer dollars back to America. Second, legislation will be introduced to prevent unlawful access to the payment system. Okay, no one cares. You don't have enough votes to pass it in either house. Thanks. Third, in partnership with the Democratic Policy and Comms Committee, we will highlight Republican policies that raise the cost of living. Okay, marketing and branding. Great. Fourth, Judiciary and Oversight Committee Democrats will detail for the caucus, plans to end birthright citizenship, which is not even lawful as it currently stands. There are currently more than 20 different lawsuits. Okay, so filing suits. They're going to have caucus meetings. Aguilar is going to continue to convene working groups. Okay, so they're going to have committee meetings. Appropriations Committee is going to do some work. Nothing. All right, they're all just going to conduct wide outreach, connect with people, and tell them we want our money. Man, you've not seen Democrats this freaked in a while. They got like a 9-point plan. We never see any plans from them. They just come out and lecture everybody about insurrection. So they've got a bunch of stuff. Most of it is just sitting around in committees talking amongst themselves because they're basically only capable of doing that. But they're also going to be hitting the media. So we're going to have more of this from Jasmine Crockett. Just amazing.
Not our democracy. Well, he did say he'd be a dictator on day one. Oh, Democrats, it's just Trump. He just talks. Well, let me tell you something. He is doing more than talking. We talked about Project 2025. We talked about the consolidation of power. We talked about how he wanted to be a king. We talked about in a democratic republic, that is not what it is. We have some sort of checks and balances, and he is doing everything that he can to get rid of those checks and balances. The DOJ and the people that he's going after were simply doing their jobs.
No, they weren't.
The problem is that Americans thought that it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him the president of the United States, and then they want to act aghast when he does criminal things. Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States, and if we don't wake up, we may not have a United States, because right now he has only been successful in being a divider in chief.
Wow. Okay. So didn't say much there other than the same thing they've been saying for years now, really, that he's a criminal. The American people elected a criminal, which is pretty insulting to the American people, as though we got duped and I guess we're criminal co-conspirators. So we're also co-conspirators in this massive restructuring of the government. Now, we saw Caroline Leavitt earlier. This was also interesting. So in addition to USAID, some of these other major entities that have been just sucking off the government teat for decades and been propaganda machines for a long time are NPR and PBS. And I think NPR and PBS were supposed to be kind of like a C-SPAN, right? C-SPAN, I really appreciate, actually. We play a lot of it here. It's nice. It's access. We like transparency in our government. So if we're going to spend government money for media, there is a format that kind of works, right? C-SPAN kind of works for it. Pretty good. But what about when you've got PBS and NPR and they are specifically propagandizing the news? What do you do about them? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be leading the DOGE subcommittee, and she's calling on NPR and PBS to come and testify at a public hearing about their bias and their propaganda at their news and radio stations. And she sent them both letters, and here's what they look like. Coming from Marjorie Taylor Greene from the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, signed there by Marjorie herself, chairwoman from the Subcommittee on Delivering on Government Efficiency, says, all right, NPR CEO Catherine, the Subcommittee on Delivering on DOGE is planning a hearing on federally funded radio and TV, including its systematically biased content. Now, the subcommittee is concerned with NPR and your blatant ideological and partisan coverage. The subcommittee is trying to understand how this works, and so we're ready to have you come testify March 3rd or the week of March 24th. Here's why. In October 2020, NPR declined to report on the Hunter Biden laptop story, saying, "We don't waste our time on stories that are not really stories, and we don't want to waste the listeners' and the readers' times on stories that are just pure distractions," because they wanted Biden to win. When you were the CEO of Wikipedia, you said during a TED Talk that, quote, "Our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that is getting in the way of finding common ground." So you'll just lie now? Further, in April, you seemed to dismiss criticism, calling for NPR to make its reporting more fair and more balanced. Your statement came after a longtime NPR senior business editor, Mr. Uri Berliner, criticized its reporting, saying there's an unspoken consensus about the stories we should pursue and how they should be framed, right? It's frictionless. One story and after another about instances of racism, transphobia, climate apocalypse, Israel doing something bad, the dire threat of Republicans. It's almost like an assembly line, okay? We're just like dumb little robots at NPR, just like throwing darts at a board. It's like Trump, racism, phobia. Just, throw the darts, whatever it comes up, you just generate the title. Now, as an organization that receives federal funds, both directly and indirectly through its member stations, you should report for the entire public, not just lunatic lefties. So this hearing is an opportunity for you to come and explain to the American people why federal money should be used for public radio, particularly the garbage that you produce at NPR. Sincerely, your friend, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Come say hello. Now, PBS also got a copy of one, and they're asking about another statement that he made. Here's what this one sounded like, saying the subcommittee on delivering on DOGE is planning a hearing, and you're free to come and join us. Now, recently, PBS News implied that Mr. Elon Musk made a fascist Nazi salute while addressing an inaugural celebration after Trump was sworn into office. That was clearly false. According to the ADL, a group that focuses on combating anti-Semitism, even the ADL said this. It seems that Elon Musk made an awkward gesture in the moment of enthusiasm. It was not a Nazi salute. But again, we appreciate that people are on edge, said the ADL. It's like, good, you should be very cautious in case someone does Hitler salute. In this moment, all sides should give one another a bit of grace, perhaps even the benefit of the doubt, and take a breath, because everyone's going to kill each other over the Nazi salute. All right. So this sort of bias betrays the principles of objective reporting and undermines public trust, and you get federal money, so you should support the entire public. Now, this hearing is an opportunity for you to explain to Congress why you're doing what you're doing, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. Marjorie Taylor Greene from the DOGE Committee. To PBS and NPR, USAID is also getting their spending cut, and senators are being thrown out of the building for good reason. But while all this is happening, Trump is signing executive orders to bring America our very own sovereign wealth fund.
Next, this is an executive order. Discharges your Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and your Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to begin a process that will hopefully result in the creation of an American sovereign wealth fund.
It's a very exciting event. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you're seeing that over the last 2 weeks. I think we've created more wealth. Other people have created de-wealth, the people, my predecessors. We're creating a lot of wealth. Scott, maybe you'd like to say something about it, and I'd ask also Howard to say something about it.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work, and I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country, as we work to bring them out for the American people.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So I bring all these things together. Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
So other countries have sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries than the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that, what's happened just in a short period of time. And as an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it. Otherwise, we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people, a lot of options, but we could put that as an example in the fund, and we have a lot of other things that we could put in the fund. And I think in a short period of time, we'd have one of the biggest funds, and some of them are pretty large, I must tell you. Some of the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large large side, but eventually we'll catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund. And I think it's about time that this country had a sovereign wealth fund. And these two gentlemen and some others are going to work with them very closely, and they'll be heading it up, and they're going to do a great job. Two highly respected people that have done unbelievably well in the real world. So that's a big deal, huh?
Sign it, baby.
I think it's going to create value and be of great strategic importance.
That beautiful sound of that presidential pen bringing more wealth to America. And so a sovereign wealth fund is an interesting idea. Of course, we've got a lot of debt to dig ourselves out of, but there should be a benefit of being an American citizen. And I don't know why that's so controversial. We should have the benefit of free speech, due process, equal protection of the law, safe streets, functional schools, nice, healthy, clean food, and more. If we're all contributing to something and the country as a unit produces more than it consumes, then maybe we shouldn't be paying taxes. How amazing would that be if your government was actually so competent and effective that all of our work product was so beneficial to the world that we actually got a dividend? Our government paid us for being so useful and working so hard and selling so many goods and services that they get to tax. They get a cut of everything. What if they could put that money to good use and then pay us back, or pay for our seniors, or pay for our veterans without ever having to worry about it, right? It's just in the budget because we're so competent and capable. That would be nice. We want at minimum our free speech and our Bill of Rights. The rest of this is gravy.